You've been learning wrong. Because while you've been grinding 10,000 hours, you could easily achieve the same level of mastery in half the time. In 2025, the smartest learners don't just study, they train with AI. By the end of this video, you'll learn how to master any skill in half the time using my 3-phase AI Skill Accelerator program. It's a system that's been quietly reshaping the way top performers actually learn. By the way, I'm Evan. I study how the top 1% use systems and AI to stay ahead. Okay, here's why most people never actually master the skills they begin learning. They focus on repetition, not optimization. They copy YouTube tutorials, they binge courses, and they read 10 books on whatever skill. And a month later, they've improved 5% maybe. Here's the truth. Traditional learning wastes about 80% of your time on stuff that doesn't even compound. You're essentially learning without any sort of feedback, but here's exactly how AI can fix that. It can compress information, spot patterns quicker than you can, and give you real-time feedback, which means you'll stop guessing what works and train like somebody who's already mastered it. Now, when you're first learning a new skill, MMA, coding, guitar, it doesn't matter what you're learning, most of what you're going to consume in the beginning is a lot of noise. You'll watch hours of tutorials, jump between all your different YouTube tabs, and feel like you're actually progressing. Sadly, you're just collecting fragments of information. That's why after a quick initial learning phase, most people plateau. They're gaining content, not clarity. AI flips that completely. It takes all the chaos and all the noise and distills it down to only the core elements that actually matter. So step 1 of the system is using my exact prompt I'm about to give you and creating core frameworks to learn around. Summarize the top 5 frameworks masters or top performers use when they're learning, and then you fill in the skill you're trying to learn. Then list the 3 biggest mistakes beginners always make and what I should do instead. 30 seconds later, you're gonna have a mini curriculum. It's gonna be concise, structured, and actionable. It's like having a coach who can lean over your shoulder and tell you, hey, stop wasting time on this. Here's where your effort needs to actually go. When I started applying this to mixed martial arts, I told ChatGPT to summarize the top 5 techniques and tendencies of elite strikers. It pulled concepts like distance control, fatigue management, conditioning, things I had actually heard of but have never seen put into practice. I never organized it inside of my head, but ChatGPT was able to actually give me that structure and then apply it into my training sessions. From there, I wasn't training punches. I was improving timing, setups, and awareness. AI turned all that complexity into a simple checklist. It was the same exact thing with guitar. Instead of bouncing around learning 100 different riffs, I just learned the most essential guitar chords up front. That completely accelerated my progress. That one list saved me months of scattered practice. Suddenly, my sessions for any skill I was trying to learn actually had structure. I was no longer just wasting my time dilly-dallying around what I thought was gonna work. I was deliberately building step by step to mastery. The first phase of mastering any skill is clarity, and what usually takes months, AI can give you in minutes. Now, once you've got the core frameworks of the skill you're trying to build, the next step is turning them into drills. This is where most learners stall. They understand the basics of theory, but they never convert it into muscle memory. So I want you to ask AI this. Turn these frameworks into 5 drills I could practice daily. Label them beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Now, AI isn't just teaching you what you need to know, it's teaching you how to train properly. Now let's look at how this applied to MMA. When I applied this to MMA, it generated an entire training plan in seconds. Beginner drills focused on footwork and shadow boxing, giving me the fundamentals before moving on to something more advanced. By advanced, it was giving me pressure simulations and fight IQ tests. It was taking things I never consciously thought about and finding ways to isolate them to improve my training even further. When you ask AI to break frameworks into drills, it's like having a specific coach for whatever hobby or skill you're trying to learn. It does so much more than just correct my striking form. It builds an entire list of skills and the checkpoints you need to achieve to accomplish everything. With guitar, the same logic applies, so it really doesn't matter what skill you're trying to build. AI took the principles we went over in phase 1 and turned them into micro drills, and every single drill built on the one before it. So suddenly my practice wasn't just strumming random patterns and random songs. It was actually accelerating my entire development. Let's say your focus is on fitness and that's the skill you're trying to build. AI can help you go from a casual lifting to an actual bodybuilding regimen. That's the power of using AI to build the drills you're gonna train with. It compresses hundreds of thousands of unstructured tutorials into a small checklist of drills that are gonna actually compound. The goal isn't more knowledge, it's more iteration. Every rep becomes smarter than the one before it. Now here's the final part of the AI Skill Accelerator program. feedback. This is where AI truly becomes so much more powerful than any coach. In every skill, feedback is the bottleneck. It's what stops you from progressing as quick as you really could. Sure, you could practice every single day, but the whole time you may be quietly building the wrong habits. But if you use AI correctly, it's going to short circuit that delay, allowing for mini corrections the whole time. So after every single session or every drill, I want you to type this simple reflection. Here's what I practiced today. Tell me one thing I improved on, one thing I missed, and a micro adjustment I could take into next session. When I started doing this for MMA, most of the time I noticed my issues weren't technical, they were positional. Sure, I would be sticking to the same consistent striking patterns and they would look good, but my positioning would be slightly off. For your own skill, you're gonna have blind spots that you're not recognizing you really should be improving on. And if you allow those blind spots to compound with every single session, you're going to be driven even further off the path you want. So I took that feedback and that became my next drill. Within 2 weeks, I immediately noticed my positioning was no longer the issue. By week 4, my sparring footage looked completely different. Swifter entrances, quicker exits, and tighter control overall. As long as you utilize AI with systematic feedback loops, you're going to continuously improve no matter what. Now, the issue here comes when you're not constantly giving that extra data via the reflection. So let's say you only reflect 1 time per week. You're not giving enough data to get adequate feedback. I ran into this issue with guitar, I'll be honest. I was only giving feedback once a week after I would practice the song we decided to work on together. What I noticed is, sure, I was getting the feedback on the song and I was making slight improvements week to week, but my technique was off. I wasn't constantly refining the bad issues I had began to make habits. By month 2, ChatGPT was missing most of my weaknesses in guitar. I was overstrumming, overextending, and not taking rest days. Now, I identified that this was my fault. I wasn't doing everything I should have been. So I decided to give more feedback. And the more data I gave ChatGPT, the more personalized it got. And after that, it was able to adjust my plan accordingly and get me back on that track to mastery. The goal isn't perfection, it's constant optimization. And instead of guessing on what works, ChatGPT is literally learning your tendencies and correcting your plan for you. That's the difference between being coached by AI and being literally trained by it. That feedback compounds because the more information you give, the better it's going to be. And that's the key to mastering any skill in half the time. The shorter the feedback loops, the quicker your progress is going to be. So let's pull this all together. Mastery isn't about learning for more hours. It's about learning smarter. Most people waste years focusing on repetition of things that aren't compounding. But if you use AI, just like I taught you in this video, you're going to be learning faster than anyone else. The truth is, AI doesn't let you skip reps. It makes every rep twice as worth it. Because the future doesn't belong to people who just practice. It belongs to people who practice and adapt faster than anyone else. And if you want to take this exact system and have AI build out your entire training plan for you, I suggest you go watch my next video. I asked ChatGPT to make me as productive as fast as possible. Click here to watch that now, and I'll see you there. Thank you so much for watching.